Unfortunately, every step of the removal process being undertaken against me is being done in a manner that breaks every rule on how justice is delivered in our country. And this is why I find the need to draw the nation's attention to the serious violations of the Constitution and law in the process, and the danger it holds for the development of the nation's democracy. The second reason for making this statement is, though I'm in the process alone, its effects ripple far beyond me as a person. This process will affect how all Superior Court justices and future Chief Justices may be removed from office. It also affects commissioners and heads of independent constitutional bodies set up to protect the freedom and justice of Ghanaian citizens as guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. The Edu Lodge facility that the hearings are being conducted in featured very prominently in the planning of the murder of judges on June 30th, 1981. And this can be read about in the special investigative report on that terrible event in our nation's history. It will be recalled that there was a Major Samakwa, a military officer who was killed with the 3 High Court justices, who was a director of human resource of Gov't. He was my uncle and my guardian when I entered the University of Ghana in September 1980. I was also living with him at the time he was abducted and murdered. Was Edu Lodge chosen for my inquiry to make me feel insecure? I think so. And I continue to hold the view that there's no reason why a judicial hearing is being conducted behind the high walls of Edu Lodge.
On record is that the attempt to link the dastardly killings of some Supreme Court judges and a military officer to this case are most disingenuous. To begin with, this government and President Mahama have nothing to do with the killing of any judge. Second, there's absolutely no nexus between the petitions that have been brought and that unfortunate incident in our past. So any effort to link the two is regrettable and should not find space in this sort of discourse. It is most undesirable, it is most unacceptable. Now, the venue in question is the Edu Lodge. Yes, it is close to the Osu Castle, which used to be the former seat of government. As I speak, there are government agencies that operate there. So it is a public place. The Osu Castle is a public place. You can go there to conduct official government business. Beside it are private residences owned by Ghanaians who move freely in and out of their residence, even though they are situated very close to the Osu Castle. So the impression that a facility in the vicinity of the Osu Castle necessarily makes it intimidating or foreboding is completely misplaced. It is unfair. It is not justifiable. Now, Edu Lodge is a state facility which is often used to house high-ranking officials who visit the Republic of Ghana. It belongs to the state. The decision to use that place was not that of government or President Mahama. The committee requested that they needed facilities of a certain status that could house their activities and that could facilitate a smooth running of the proceedings. And that facility was available. It is equipped with modern amenities that will facilitate the work of the committee. And the state only offered it upon the request of the committee. Let me also state that that facility is not intimidating.
Privilege and obligation to lead administration of justice, I should not turn tail and run when I know the implications of that the efforts being made are intended to frustrate me so that I resign, so that the architects of the scheme can go back into the media and say that the wild and unfounded allegations were not defended because they were true and I had no defense to them. As Chief Justice of the nation, who has been given for defending false and unwarranted charges, if I resign under these circumstances, I will be saying that this flawed, unknown, and opaque process is acceptable. It is not. I applied for the proceedings of the committee set up by His Excellency the President to be held in public, so that in the interest of transparency and for the truth in the matters being raised to be made known to the people of Ghana. I did so because I knew that the secrecy of the proceedings for removing justices was not created in the Constitution as a cover-up for any agenda. The Constitution expects that only reasons for removing the Chief Justice and public officials as set out in Article 146 will be the reason for doing so. And especially, such reasons must affect public sensitive national interest or public order or safety. I realize that in my case, should the public be made aware of the allegations in the petition, they would realize that none of the allegations made border even remotely on matters of national interest or matters of public order or anything that indicates that I'm unable to perform the functions of my office. An example is an allegation that I failed to retire accountable interest of $14,000 when I traveled. When I did retire that accountable interest 2 days after I returned from my journey, I was given $14,000. I could only spend $4,400, and I returned $9,600 2 days after I returned from my journey. And so I knew that it was necessary that the issues being thrown around as petitions against me needed to get into the public space.